So the play-in tournament just ended last night, and now we know the full seedings for the 2022 NBA playoffs. So in today's video, I am going to be predicting the NBA playoffs. Let's get right into the video. There isn't really much to explain, so I'm just going to get started with the Eastern Conference first round. Let's start it off with the 1 seed versus the 8 seed, the Miami Heat versus the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks were originally the 9 seed, but after winning both their games in the play-in tournament, they made it here to the NBA playoffs. Atlanta was underdogs last year, and they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they have the potential to do it again this year. But Miami is the 1 seed, and overall, they are just better at everything. They're the better defensive team, they are the more well-rounded team, and they have so many more scorers that they can rely on. I don't really see this series being much of a competition. I can definitely see Atlanta taking a game at the most, because Trae Young is going to go off one game, but my final prediction is the Miami Heat in 5 games. Moving on to the 2 seed versus 7 seed, the Boston Celtics and the Brooklyn Nets. This is a pretty tough series to choose in my opinion. Boston, record-wise, is obviously the better team, but Brooklyn now has Kyrie Irving, for example, who's going to play in every game. Also, Boston doesn't have Robert Williams, which is definitely going to hurt them because who is going to guard Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, 2 of the best scorers in the entire game? I don't want to count out Boston because they still have other good defenders such as Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, but in my opinion, I think the odds are pointing to the Brooklyn Nets. I'm telling you guys right now, this playoff bracket, I want it to be filled with lots of upsets. There's going to be lots of upsets in this video because, I want to just have a different bracket from everyone else's. And here is the first upset of the video. I am going to have the Brooklyn Nets in 7 games. Going to be a super close series, super fun to watch. All these offensive sparks go at it from both sides. And yeah, I'm really excited to watch this game, but the Nets are going to win in 7. Moving on to the 3 versus 6 game, the Milwaukee Bucks are taking on the Chicago Bulls. This one, to me, is a no-brainer. The Chicago Bulls in the second half of the season fell off. Granted, they have had injuries and stuff, but they're going up against the defending champions here. For the most part, they're a very inexperienced team when it comes to the playoffs, whereas Milwaukee is just significantly better of a team. With not an elite big man for a defender, I think Giannis is definitely going to eat, and Milwaukee has a lot of good supporting pieces, so my final prediction is going to be Milwaukee in 6. And then for the last series in the Eastern Conference of the first round is the 4 seed 76ers taking on the 5 seed Toronto Raptors. I'm not even going to explain this series. I made a video about it just yesterday. Go check it out. I'll put a link in the description. Toronto in 6. Moving on to the Western Conference first round, starting off with the 1 seed versus the 8 seed, the Phoenix Suns versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Kind of like the Atlanta Hawks, the New Orleans Pelicans were originally the 9 seed, but won both their play-in games, and now they're here as the 8 seed. Unfortunately for them, this is where their road ends. Phoenix has been steamrolling the entire NBA. It's not really much of a competition, especially with no Zion Williamson. I don't think I have to explain much here. Phoenix is a 60-plus win team. I'm going to go with the Suns in 4. Moving on to the 2-play-7 game, the Memphis Grizzlies are taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Remember when I said that this video was going to have a lot of upsets? Well, here is another one. This is going to get a lot of hate. A lot of people are going to disagree with this take, but I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are actually going to win this series. They're both inexperienced. Memphis is the better defensive team. Memphis has a better star player. But I don't know, just something about the Minnesota Timberwolves propels me to choose them. I think they're going to have something to prove. Patrick Beverley is going to be an absolute dog. D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns are all going to get it done on the offensive end. They're going to be so amazing overall, the Timberwolves, especially on the offensive end. Memphis is definitely a Western Conference final caliber team. Heck, Memphis is a finals caliber team. Memphis could just as easily make the finals, but I do want to have some upsets, so my final prediction is going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves in 7 games. Moving on to the next series, the 3 versus 6, which is going to be the Golden State Warriors versus the Denver Nuggets. The Golden State Warriors are obviously the better team. Klay Thompson has been absolutely on fire recently. You have Jordan Poole, an MIP candidate. You have Draymond Green, the heart and soul of the team. And then obviously you got Steph Curry. But the Denver Nuggets have Nikola Jokic, the MVP in my opinion. Am I going to count the Denver Nuggets out? Yes, I am. With no Jamal Murray and no Michael Porter Jr., the Nuggets simply just don't have the depth, and I don't think Nikola Jokic can carry this team. Gonna be a pretty one-sided series. I'm gonna go with the Warriors in 5. And the final series of the first round, the Dallas Mavericks versus the Utah Jazz. The Dallas Mavericks are one of those teams that have absolutely turned up the heat in the second half of the season. And if it was any other scenario than it is right now, I easily choose the Dallas Mavericks. But for some reason, the Mavericks played Luka Doncic in the last game of the season, and he's now injured and is likely to miss the first round. So this really opens the door for Utah to win the series. But I'm still going to go Dallas because I think with the trades Dallas made, acquiring Spencer Dinwiddie and already having a guy like Jalen Brunson, they now have other guys that can kind of run the offense and take the load off of Luka Doncic. I'm going to go with the Mavericks in 6. So taking a look at the brackets so far, we have the Heat versus the Raptors, the Bucks versus the Nets, the Suns versus the Mavericks, and the Warriors versus the Timberwolves. Let's now move on to the second round, and we'll start off with the Western Conference this time. Now we have the 1 seed versus the 4 seed, the Phoenix Suns versus the Dallas Mavericks, kind of like the New Orleans Pelicans series. Phoenix has been steamrolling the entire NBA, and even if Luka Doncic comes back, I definitely think Dallas is going to take a game or two. They might even push it to 7, but Phoenix is the most dominant team in the entire NBA, and I have to choose them. I'm going to go with the Phoenix Suns in 6. Moving on to the next series, the winner plays the Suns. The 3 plays 7 series, the Warriors versus the Timberwolves. This, believe it or not, is actually going to be a close series. Like I said, Minnesota has heart. I feel like they're going to pull off some upsets this playoffs. That's the team I'm going with as the quote-unquote underdogs. And you can call me crazy, but I think the Timberwolves are winning this series. Every playoffs, there's always that one team that just shocks a lot of people. Last season, it was the Atlanta Hawks. You get the point. Every year, there's always a team that surprises people. And this year, I think it's going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yes, their defense is atrocious, but they've had the top offense in the league this year. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing the way they're just going to be able to score with ease. They're going to have 3 or 4 players averaging over 20 points per game in this series. Yes, their defense may be bad, but if Steph Curry goes in one of those slumps, then the door is definitely open for the Minnesota Timberwolves to take this series. Golden State is definitely a tall task, but this team has heart, and I'm going to go with the Timberwolves in 7. They're definitely going to be my boomer bust team, so if they do make the Western Conference Finals like I predict, then I'll look like an absolute genius, but if they don't, I'll look like an absolute moron. Moving on to the Eastern Conference second round, I'm going to try to make them quick. The 1 seed Heat taking on the 5 seed Toronto Raptors. Toronto was originally going to be my underdog team, but I think they have too many problems such as inconsistency, a terrible bench, and so many other things. But I can definitely see them beating the Miami Heat, but people are really underestimating the Miami Heat. Even though they're the 1 seed, they're not getting the recognition they deserve, and they're not being categorized as an elite team in the Eastern Conference, which they are. This one is so interchangeable, and I can see Toronto winning in 6, but I'm going to go with Miami in 6. I just trust their bench and their defense to come up more clutch in those late game situations. Now we have the 3 seed Milwaukee Bucks taking on the 7 seed Brooklyn Nets. Milwaukee is winning this easily. People think it's going to be close. People might even think it's going to go to Brooklyn. It's not. Brooklyn's defense is not going to show up. They don't have that amazing big man that can clamp up Giannis. I don't think you count Andre Drummond. He's going to eat. He's going to just play so well. And like I said, Milwaukee's supporting cast is absolutely amazing. Arguably better than last year. Who knows, maybe things can change if Ben Simmons plays. But for now, I'm going to go with the Bucks in 6. And now we are at our final 4. We have the 1-seeded Suns taking on the 7-seed Timberwolves in the Western Conference. And on the Eastern Conference side of things, we have the 1 seed Miami Heat taking on the 3 seed Milwaukee Bucks. Let's stay on topic with the Eastern Conference Finals, and we're going to go with the Heat versus the Bucks first, and then we'll go to the Suns and the Timberwolves. This series could go either way, and I'm really struggling to pick a winner because this is such a fun rivalry to watch because in the bubble year, Miami steamrolled Milwaukee in the second round, but last year, Milwaukee swept them. All of them were blowouts except for the first game. And yeah, this series is just going to be so fun to watch if it pans out like this. Bam Adebayo and Giannis Antetokounmpo, 2 top 10 defenders. Kyle Lowry and Drew Holiday, 2 point guards that are absolutely amazing. Then you got Jimmy Butler on one side, and you have Chris Middleton on the other side, who both were all-stars this year. It's really tough, but I'm going to go with the defending champions. I have the Milwaukee Bucks winning this in 6 games. I think they're going to finally figure out each other's play styles for the most part. They're going to know how to counter them, and it's going to be a really close and entertaining series to watch. Moving on to the Western Conference Finals, we have the Phoenix Suns versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota, I gave you guys so much credit. I'm really hyping you guys up right now, but there's no way you guys beat the Phoenix Suns. I've said it multiple times in this video already, and I've said it so many times on this channel. The Suns are the most dominant team in the NBA this season. They have no weaknesses. They have experience. They have chemistry. They just have everything you need in a championship contending team. The last time we've seen a team this good might have been the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. They're that tier of good. And they're going up against Minnesota, a team that doesn't really play much defense, and also a very inexperienced team. It's going to be a pretty easy series for the Suns. I'm going to go with the Suns in 5. This playoff bracket, in my opinion, is absolutely crazy. We've had so many upsets, such as the Timberwolves, the Raptors, the Nets. But ultimately, it comes down to probably the 2 finals favorites, the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Phoenix Suns, a rematch of last year. The only question is this finals going to be any different from last year's? Is Phoenix going to prevail and Chris Paul will get his ring? Or will Milwaukee become back-to-back champions? I don't like to go off of the standings, but what they've been doing this year is absolutely crazy. Phoenix is taking home this championship. They're the same team, except they've just improved from last year. Both teams, I guess, have improved. Phoenix is more experienced, and Devin Booker is a top 10 player in the entire NBA, or in the MVP race at least. And don't forget about Chris Paul, he's so underrated. You have the Defensive Player of the Year candidate in Mikal Bridges, and you got a good bench. This is the final time I'm going to say it. The Suns are the perfect squad. Milwaukee definitely going to put up a fight. Giannis really going to lead the way. He's really going to fight for every rebound, fight for every basket. Going to be a physical, aggressive series. But ultimately, Phoenix is going to take this in 6 games. So your 2021-2022 NBA champions are the 64-18 Phoenix Suns. So that's going to wrap up this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. Comment down below who you think is going to win the NBA championship. Hopefully I have a good bracket and I can redeem myself from last year's. Last year's was not the best. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.